Classic. Right. Hey guys, my name is Bethany and welcome back to my book nook. I am super excited to share with you this month's read list as well as this month's TBR. It's like 9:30 at night and I'm just feeling pretty inspired to do this, so I'm gonna just shoot through it all super fast. The first book that I read in the month of November was The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. This follows our main character called Charlie as he discovers the ins and outs of high school, including romantic relationships, feelings, drugs, alcohol. It's definitely quite a intense book in my opinion, and I really loved it. I just loved Charlie so much and I loved how much he taught me as well, so this was a 5-star. The next book that I read was Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia, and in this one we follow Eliza as she is kind of writing her own online story and she discovers one of her own fans, and it's just a really cool way of thinking about recent and current life with the rise of social media and everything that goes with it. But yeah, I really loved this one and I gave this one a 4.5 stars. I dropped half a star because there were parts of it that I found a little bit slow. The third book that I'm counting as a read, because I got more than halfway before I DNF'd it, is Given by Nandi Taylor. This is a fantasy book where we follow a character and she goes into a different world. Honestly, I just didn't like this one's writing style. It was originally a Wattpad kind of tale that's been adapted into a book and I just didn't like it. It wasn't for me, as well as the fact that I thought the characters were really two-dimensional and the dialogue between the characters was just felt really superficial, so that one was a DNF. Book number 4 was Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. I gave this one a 3 stars. I really enjoyed how it took me through Norse mythology and I actually learned a lot about characters, or should I say figures, such as Thor and Loki, but I did find that it wasn't as in-depth as I want it to be, and sometimes the stories were a bit simplistic, although contradictingly that's kind of what I liked about it. I don't know, I couldn't make my mind up. It was like an okay book, but it wasn't my favourite, so 3 stars. The 5th book I read is Tigers Not Daughters by Samantha Marby. This is one that I got off NetGalley and it is out later in the year. I'll try find the date somewhere. Not even this year, next year. I love this book. It follows 3 sisters, technically 3 alive sisters, one sister who's passed away, and this passed away sister is like haunting her current sisters, and it's just a really beautiful poetic story about sisters overcoming a tragic loss and what this looks like. It also looks at from each of those sisters' perspectives, so you get to know each of them quite well, but in a short amount of time. It was a shorter book, so this was my second 5-star read of the month. Then we get on to my first readathon ever, as well as my first readathon in November, and that was the Buzzwordathon. I have uploaded a vlog for that, so I'll leave that somewhere for you guys to go check out if you want a more in-depth, step-by-step read along with me experience for the following few books. The first one I read was Station 11. This one I gave 3 stars. It's not that I hated it, it's not that I didn't appreciate it, I just wasn't absorbed by it, and I thought that, quite frankly, some parts of it were boring for me. I wanted more action, so that was only 3 stars. The second one I read was The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. This one was another 3-star read for me. It's quite a cool little coffee table book is how I would describe it, that kind of reminds you of some spiritual things and beliefs and ways of thinking that you can embody in your day-to-day life to try and make your life that bit, I don't want to say better, that bit more uplifting and happy. The third and last book I read for the Buzzwordathon was 3 Dark Crowns. Again, another 3 stars. The first half of this story I found quite slow and the pace wasn't quite there for me. However, the second half I did really enjoy. I did quite arrogantly think that it was going to be predictable, but the last, very last page proved me a bit wrong. But am I going to continue with the series? No. I've got more important things that I want to read. Actually, I like Loki Lied. This is the last book that I read for the Buzzwordathon, Ready Player One. I gave this one, again, 3 stars. This one was a hard one for me to rate because I loved the world so much. I thought it was so unique, and the whole plot and premise of the story was just blew me away. But again, it was a writing style issue for me. I found the writing style quite dull at times, and the way that things were explained became a little bit repetitive for me. However, I did watch the movie, and the movie was way worse than the book, in my opinion. So the book is sitting that bit higher after watching the movie, but I'm going to stick with my original 3 stars. So this is when we go into my second readathon that I did, the one readathon. So if I remember correctly, 3 Dark Crowns was kind of like a bridging book between the one readathon and the Buzzwordathon. And then I went on to read When the Sky Fell on Splendor by Emily Henry. This is one that I gave 4 stars. I thought that the characters' friendships, so there's like a group of 6 characters, and they're all on this adventure together, and they're all dealing with grief in their own way, and I thought their relationships were really beautiful, and their friendships were quite realistic, and the way that they were dealing with grief was also quite realistic. What stopped me from giving it 5 stars was, I don't know, again, weirdly, I found the first half of the story quite slow, and it was quite hard for me to get fully absorbed into. The one readathon vlog will be coming out shortly, so if you want to see a more play-by-play of that book, just wait for that one. The 11th book that I read for the month of November is A Darker Shade of Magic. This one, this one I adored. I gave this one a 5 stars, and it was my first V.E. Schwab book ever, and I really do think her writing style lives up to, I don't want to say the hype, but its fame and its popularity is warranted. I was a bit scared that it was going to fall flat, but overall I did really love it. Most of you know what the book is about. The very last book, so book number 12, kind of wish it was book number 13, is 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. No, I have not seen the TV series. Will I now? Maybe. I'm thinking about it, but the book was cover to cover, speed read in a matter of 24 hours. It was super enthralling. The messages are absolutely amazing. I think Jay Asher did a really amazing, how many times can I say that word? A really wonderful job at portraying the story through a narrative lens that was unbiased and just quite beautiful. I don't know, I just really loved it. 5 stars, recommend it if you're interested. So now we're on to the TBR. The TBR, now I'm trying so hard to meet my Goodreads goal. There were 2 months in the middle of the year which I just didn't read, so that kind of dropped me back a bit, but after finishing 12 books last month, I'm on the home stretch and I've got 11 books left to meet my goal of 52 books. So here they are. Sylvia Plath's collection of poems called Ariel. I am already currently 28 pages in. Is a poetry book cheating to get to my Goodreads goal? Potentially, but it's still a book, so I'm still counting it. The other book that I'm slowly making my way through is An Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. This is one that I'm reading with the name escapes me now. There's an Instagram page, Stay Inspired Book Club. I'll link it somewhere, and we're reading a couple of chapters of this a week. Number 3, the last book in Mary Lou's Legend trilogy. I think it's Legend trilogy. I'm up to Champion. I started this a while ago. I'm 30 pages in, hardly counts. Really want to finish this and see what are their names? June and Day. June and Day's story finishes. Book number 3, The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I should also say a lot of these that are on my TBR are ones that I hold in my recent fantasy library haul, so I'll leave that somewhere as well if you want to know more about the book. But The Bone Season, Samantha Shannon, fantasy. Don't know much about it except I saw it on Bookstagram, so I picked it up. Book 4, Dark Dawn by Dre Christoph. You probably know all about this. I personally can't remember anything that happened previous to this, so I'll be very interested to see how this happens. What happens in this? It's getting late. Book 5, The Merciful Crowd. I picked this up because of Peru's project here on YouTube. Just sounds like a really interesting society where the classes are based on birds. Book number 7, The Gilded Wolves. I legitimately had a dream about this the other night, which was kind of creepy. Roughly sounds like it's about hunting artifacts. I'm in. Book number 8, Tower of Dawn. I've been meaning to get into this, but I'm not gonna lie, it's... how many pages? A seriously scary amount of pages, and I didn't love the last one, and I'm very scared that the series is just going to keep getting worse and I'm going to read this one and hate it and then not even want to finish the very last book, but we'll see. We're almost there. This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. So this is an adult one by her. V.E. Schwab is her pen name for YA. This Savage Song, it's got a really creepy poem on the back. The very last one I have on this list, Autobiography. Just admire that cover for a second. Oh, it's so pretty. Anyway, I think this has a boy-boy relationship in it, which is something I really do want to read more about, because in the books I've been reading, I've realised there's a lot of hetero relationships, which is fine. We're here for all kinds of relationships. Hey guys, selfie cam. I forgot to mention, I also want to finish reading Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere. I say finish because I started it when I got back from school today, and I'm 32 pages in. So this is technically my first book of the read for December. Sorry this camera is so shaky. Right, back to stable me. All up, I read 12 books last month with a full month of work. This month I want to read 11 books, and I finished work halfway through the month. So, I'm feeling positive. I think we can end this year on a high. Let's see if we can get those that Goodreads goal. Anyway, I'm getting sleep deprived and delirious, as you can probably tell. If you would like, please consider leaving a cheeky like and subscribe down below, but only if you have the time and only if you have the energy. And I do hope that you guys have all the fun and all the places you go in your own reading journeys. Good night.